You're listening to Spectra-cast, the show where I get behind the scenes on diversity and inclusion. I'll be talking to a number of people who have taken steps towards greater inclusion of others, and also with those who have benefited from being included in the workplace. Whilst my bias might be towards recruiting and retaining neurodiverse people, I'll also explore practical approaches to being more inclusive overall. Hi, I'm your host Chris Turner, and I've made it my mission to help employers to embrace and reap the rewards of being more inclusive of neurodiversity. In doing so, I hope to do my little part in ensuring more neurodiverse people get the same opportunities and choices as everyone else when it comes to work and employment. So, if you're curious and want to learn from those who are doing it, and you favour action over inaction, then stick around. All right, well, I'm sitting down this morning for me and this evening for my guest today with Hiren Shukla from EY, who's the leader of innovation and neurodiversity at Ernst Young. And Hiren's based in Dallas, Texas, which is a long ways from what is currently looking like a very sunny Melbourne day. But Hiren, welcome along.
Thanks, Chris. I am excited to be here, and good morning to you. Well, it's good evening for me here.
Well, hopefully you haven't been suffering the cold that we've been feeling lately, but I just suspect you probably don't feel that much cold at all, do you?
No. This is unfortunately September is still the height of summer in Texas, so we're still dealing with extremely hot weather. So looking forward to cooler trends, though.
Very good. Well, so thanks for making time today. I really do appreciate it. And obviously we're here to talk about neurodiversity and what that looks like at EY. So how about let you kick off and explain what was the catalyst, what was the impetus for EY starting on this path?
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. I will tell you, we are so excited to talk about this because this represents a true avenue of innovation for us. And as we know that in today's world, innovation is a key driver that everybody's searching for. And about 3 years ago, when we began our journey, we kept thinking about how technology and the war for talent is really going to change the marketplace. And along the way came this idea about hiring individuals that are neurodiverse, individuals on the autism spectrum, those that have dyslexia, ADHD, and really how do we harness that to drive better solutions and insights for our clients and really for the way EY operates globally. And so the impetus for us really came via my hat of being an automation and innovation leader and thinking about where am I going to find the people who can come up with creative solutions and think much differently than how work gets executed today. And then on the other side is once we come up with these ideas, well, someone needs to build it. And to do that, you need to have a very strong science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM profile, as they say. And then for us, it really turned into this amazing avenue of, could this be something that we've struck upon, which is this great untapped talent pool out there?
Okay, so this really sort of stemmed for you from a sourcing perspective about how to find good people with the right skills to do the right kind of work that you were facing into.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And, if I confess, Chris, that was the leading, intent for us. What ended up happening secondarily was nothing secondarily about it, which is we grabbed and attracted the hearts and minds of our own employees, our communities that we live in, and our clients and the business world. And so, when they say maybe when something is too good to be true, this is the real thing. This is actually producing results from a solution basis, but it tugs the right heartstrings where we are attracting the right conversation with people on items of substance, the things that matter to people. And, Chris, as you and I both know, in today's world, there is so much media, so much noise. Sometimes we end up diluting and drowning that out. This topic seems to be one that rises to the top of the pile very quickly, and it allows us to have meaningful conversations with our people and our clients.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I've seen it happen as well. It's an easy way to get some cut through at times, and open up a different conversation. Definitely. So, how did you go about starting? What was the first sort of steps that you took?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris, as I've been asked many times, and as you know, I know there's more than one way to do this, and frankly, as we'll get into later, there's probably some better ways to start. But really, for us in a very large organization, 250,000 people globally, the engines that run our organization at EY are very established, and we needed to have a bit of a agile, almost a laboratory environment when it comes to the interview process, our sourcing partners, our assessment procedure for candidates, even the onboarding side. And for us, some of those challenges, Chris, being this big organization that's established and used to hiring, thousands of people globally every month, is we had to create a different path. And what I was able to do, and it wasn't easy, but with the support of our leadership at EY, was really create this separate team that, it was a very small team. It was really myself and one other person. So that's the whole team that was there. And we kind of did this kind of as a secondary hat because we had to prove the concept first.
Yeah.
But creating these alternative approaches to this amazing talent pool that, Chris, we knew if we applied the quote-unquote regular standard approach to attracting talent and retaining it in the market, for example, even something as straightforward as an interview, which is extremely common, right, in today's world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as some of my friends like to say in this space, unfortunately, traditional interviews will screen candidates out of the process that do not fit the mold.
Yep.
And so, really, some of the challenges for us was not only finding out some of the leading practices from our friends at DXC, SAP, Microsoft, and others. But it was how will we implement them while you have this very large engine that continues to run at EY, and you're really going to do this on the side almost as an experimental basis.
Yeah. So how did you manage to, did you face a lot of pushback around, I guess, almost circumventing your internal processes?
Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head in a way where we actually did need to create parallel processes. But as you know, every organization with its culture and obviously it's our brand reputation and the fact that we need to make sure we are adhering to the high quality standards that the business world and the potential talent pool expects of us. It was making sure that we integrated all of those high quality processes and procedures in making sure that any experience a potential candidate, and in our case, a neurodiverse candidate has with us, is really something that provides a very positive, lasting impression, whether or not, Chris, they intend to accept a job from us or whether we extend a job offer to them.
Yeah.
We realized with the neurodiverse population, we had to be very deliberate in our feedback to them. We had to be very explicit in our assessment procedures. And if I'm honest, Chris, what it ended up doing for us, it's like sharpening a pencil. This process ended up sharpening our procedures and our expectations from the manager who works with me and myself, and really some of the others involved in this. And it made us better as a result of it, albeit something a bit different than what we were normally used to.
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting, isn't it? And have you looked now at how you integrate the approach that you took for this specific cohort with your general recruitment process, or is that something that's still going to run in parallel?
You know, we are having discussions around the integration right now. And Chris, I'm happy to say that our program has grown dramatically. We no longer look at this as a pilot or even a separate program. We're now beginning to look at this as an integral way that we source the right talent at EY, the same way we would go to campus, or we would recruit experienced professionals to come to EY. And so those conversations have now begun in earnest because of the presence and the level of enthusiasm that we've generated around this. And if I'm honest, I say the term we've generated, it's really been our neurodiverse Center of Excellence team members. Their work stands for itself. And so we've now engaged many people across the firm to talk about what will our recruiters do when we go to campus, and how will we make sure that those neurodiverse individuals on campus have an avenue of exposure to EY and an opportunity to present themselves, even if it may not be in the same exact format that quote-unquote neurotypicals would.
Yeah. Because it's come up a number of times in conversations that I've had, is this desire to, I guess, avoid like a multitude of recruitment and hiring processes, because for the corporate machinery, it starts to become pretty challenging to manage. So it's always kind of interesting to see how people are navigating that, and does it change over time? And I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it does start separate, but it can change over time. And
absolutely. And I think again, Chris, it comes back to if you have a culture at your organization that end of the day really begins to think about purpose and engagement with our community, and I think people wanting to do more than what they do at their desks. And, I say that somewhat generically. At EY, we have a very innovative culture, and it's a very inclusive culture. And so we've now taken this level of exclusion, and I'm happy to say, put it into practice such that it doesn't just live in our diversity and inclusion efforts. It lives in our business solution delivery efforts. And so you begin to look at the war on talent and sources of innovation in a new light when you begin thinking of what does this mean for our business, and how are we going to secure the next 100 roles, for example, in a particular area, knowing that everybody else is also looking for that same 100 roles to fill in their organization. So it really becomes a game changer.
So something you said just got me wondering, did this start out as a diversity and inclusion program, or did this start out as a business resourcing program?
Yeah, it's interesting. This, I have to say, was a true partnership. Our diversity and inclusion team's the one that heard and thought about this idea and really began presenting it to folks in the business like myself. And I think that what was really beautiful that our D&I folks did was to connect directly to say, where's the business need and how do we get the right champions on board so that this doesn't become just a nice thing to do, but it becomes integral. And so I'd have to say this was a true partnership with our diversity and inclusion folks, but the ownership, the vested interest, the skin in the game, Chris, as they like to say, this really had to come from folks in the business and myself and my boss, who is very passionate about this, as are other leaders all the way to the top in the EY organization, who began to look at this now much differently and I think take ownership from the business side while we continue to partner with our D&I team in making sure that inclusion really means bringing your best self to work and not conforming to everybody else.
Yeah, that's a great statement. I like that description. What were some of the things that you've had to do internally to, I guess, adapt the way you work and operate to make this workable?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm happy to say, if I had to paint the picture overall, Chris, very few changes that we've had to make. And if I step back for a moment and to give our audience a bit of a view on, as they probably have, traditional consultants we will send the consultant to the work. We're always sending our consultants to walk the halls in our client's organization because that's the only way we would become really trusted business advisors, right? But we've learned, and funny enough, we're taking a page out of our global delivery center, our global delivery services organization, which is our nearshore, our offshore, any of our centers of excellence model. We realized that this was very much like bringing the work to the people. And so there was a little bit of change that was had there, where my management team plays a intermediary role in making sure we're sourcing the right work, that we've got the right protocols in place, that we're providing awareness to any of our EY teams and our project teams that are working with our neurodiverse center of excellence. And so we had to tweak the quote-unquote onboarding process just to make sure that every project has a very deliberate onboarding. And as I said, at EY, we already do this. And so luckily, that was not much more than a few tweaks here or there.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing, Chris, that we had to do is many of our consultants who spend most of the time at our clients do not have a permanent desk in the office. And so they'd come in and they do what's called hoteling, which is basically you look up what office space is open, you would book one of them, and you can go there with your laptop and basically you just plug in, the phone gets activated in your name, and effectively for that day, that becomes your office, or for whatever number of hours that you would need it. But for our neurodiverse center of excellence, we've made sure that they have permanent seating. It's the same desk every single day. We've particularly situated spaces where there is a little bit less traffic that is walking through the halls, not next to the coffee machine, so there's not a lot of noise or chatter. And we've done this being cognizant in mind to say, what's the best working environment for these individuals, and how do we provide that that sense of comfort and confidence that this is my workspace and I will do my best work here. And so for them, that permanent seating seems to make a really big difference and helps them feel better when they come to work.
Yeah, okay. Remove some of that anxiety around change and uncertainty. Yeah. So it sounds like this is a group that are working as a team. Is that correct?
Yeah, they do work as a team, which, Chris, I'll tell you, one of the most interesting pieces of feedback that I received from them is they said to me, we've never worked with other neurodiverse individuals before. And so I stepped back and we purposely asked them, how is this for you? And what is it like? And I have to be honest, Chris, the level of high performance teaming that we see amongst them, the camaraderie, the effort to help each other and to take notice when somebody needs help. But the most beautiful part about this that I really appreciate is there is zero hesitancy in asking for help, and there's zero hesitancy in offering it. And, you know, when we think about at EY, we're high performance teaming, and we realize that when we bring great individuals together, we can amplify, exponentially amplify our insights and solutions if we work as a team. This team seems to be a standout. They are exemplary with respect to providing feedback from to each other, accepting it. And at the end of the day, many of the projects they do work on leverages work off of each other and other projects that they've been on. And so they do this very, very well. And so, yes, they're working as a team is great. And in fact, many of them, though, work sometimes independently with other team members. These are not neurodiverse Center of Excellence folks. These are our EY account teams all over the world. Yeah. And, you know, they have pleasantly surprised us in how well that they team, because they are straightforward, direct, and honest, which is a quality that we love about them. There's never any guessing required. Yeah. But they really do seem to enjoy it. And the last part, Chris, I'll mention on this is the feedback that we have received from our EY account teams that work with them has been phenomenal. And they've recognized our Neurodiverse Center of Excellence, everything from their technical knowledge to their ability to actually teach and convey complex solutions to individuals who are on the business side that obviously may not be as technical in that regard. But to say, how do we bridge this gap? And so the feedback has been phenomenal and extremely rewarding for EY employees, you know, across the board.
That's really positive. I mean, I think that can often be a bit of a misnomer around, especially people on the autism spectrum and communication. I've been dealing with a number of students recently, and one of the things that most of them have recognized as being their strengths has been their ability to communicate. Yeah. And at times, I think for a lot of people, it feels like a bit of an oxymoron, but it's interesting to hear that from another place entirely different. So
we were having a friendly argument and a laugh the last time I was with our team in Philadelphia. And as some of our audience may know, Philadelphia is very famous for a particular type of a sandwich called a cheesesteak sandwich. Right. And Chris, there are a few places in Philadelphia that claim to have the best cheesesteak sandwich.
Oh, of course there are.
And the argument that we were having over lunch was which place has the best cheesesteak sandwich. And, you know, as I in that room stepped back a bit to think about, this is the same type of banter that we would have with anybody. And frankly, you know, as long as we continue to say at EY, you can come to work and you can be yourself and you're comfortable being that way and you're accepted for that matter, we think you'll produce your best work. And so it's really playing out for us. And that's part of the reason we are so excited about how we're growing this program globally. And frankly, what we thought was dipping our toe in the water, Chris, we've now dove into the deep end of the pool. Okay.
That's really cool. So tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that. I know when we spoke previously, you had mentioned that there was definite plans to grow, and there had been some growth already. So what does the future look like in this space for EY?
Yeah, Chris, thanks for teeing me up on that. We are officially 2.5 years into our journey. We have about 25 individuals in 2 centers in the U.S., scheduled to open 2 more centers, one in Chicago and one in San Jose, California, in the next 6 to 9 months. In fact, Chicago will be in January of 2019. So I'm not sure I want to be in the wintertime in Chicago. Chris, I'm not sure if you've heard. It's pretty brutal, but we're really excited about the growth. But in addition, I've just come back from an extended overseas trip, and my colleagues in the UK and Ireland, all the way up to our managing partners and such, are very engaged in this. And frankly, they're starting to see the benefits from all of these different angles. Again, solutions, technical delivery capability, engaging our own people in meaningful interactions. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, really in the reputational capital, if we say at EY, Chris, that we are building a better working world, then we need to put our money where our mouth is and do it. And so we see the growth of this program globally as we are beginning now to carve out full-time roles in our advisory practice, in our forensics practice, in our tax practice, in our audit and assurance practice, as we start seeing how our business needs are going to drive the type of talent that we require to be successful. And frankly, we think we're ahead of the curve on this. And so we'd love to see others get into the game. And from the EY's perspective, future is extremely bright for us. And frankly, the great problem we have right now is how we're going to keep up with demand. And that's another area of challenge, Chris. At some point, if we talk about how companies like EY or SAP or DXC and Microsoft and such, scalability for us is key. And that's something that we realize that every city that we go into, every new country that we enter will have its own infrastructure, regulations, support systems, or unfortunately, Chris, in some cases, lack of support systems that would cause us to say, how do we find this amazing talent? And teaming with university and nonprofit and agency has really been key for us in doing so. But if you think about it, every location is starting up all over again. Find the new connections, find the new network.
Yeah. Yeah. So, excuse me, sorry. Something stuck in my throat. Yeah. I can imagine that there's going to be a fair disparity from country to country or even city to city around the existing infrastructure and supports that are there. So that sounds really awesome, and it sounds like you're really looking at how do you expand the breadth of that across a variety of different roles and functions in EY.
Yeah.
Have you thought about how you support career progression and transition as well? Is that something that's on the radar?
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, that is not only such a great question, but the timing of this is great. We have, in fact, just promoted the first individual to the senior level now at EY. He has displayed a level of technical knowledge and applying it to realistically very complex situations. And so we realize that these individuals have great ambition, as they should. And Chris, as far as mobility is concerned within EY, if I were to give you my own example, I've probably had 6 or 7 different roles in different countries, in different business units. And that type of mobility is what I think keeps people at great organizations. And so we want to make sure that we extend it to the individuals on our team. And so, the continuous performance and counseling conversations we have about their careers, which is, I'd like to be a data scientist. I'd like to be in the forensics practice. I'd like to be a manager of one of our neurodiverse centers of excellence one day. And to be honest, Chris, we think without a shadow of doubt, these individuals are going to be insanely successful in their achievements. Our job is to provide the support and the guidance and the ongoing feedback. And it's not the feedback that is the unspoken word, because again, you and I both know that we have to be very direct and explicit. And so we make sure that there is a continuous dialogue going back and forth to say, not only how are things going today, how do we get you, person A or team member B, from where you are today to where you would like to be? And that's something that my management team takes very seriously. But career progression is right on that agenda. And end of the day, we do think the technical solutions and the ability to deliver consistently, which is part of our exceptional client service characteristics at EY, these are spaces that our neurodiverse team members are going to excel in because they already are showing those characteristics.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. Very encouraging. With some of those facets around the feedback and I guess career planning, do you find that those conversations are fundamentally different to what you would have with any other employee, or are they more or less the same conversation?
Yeah, you know, surprisingly enough, these are the same conversations that we're having with everybody. I think the part where, as I had alluded to at the beginning of our program, kind of like a pencil sharpener, it sharpened us a bit in the specificity of the of what the steps in the protocol are to go from, you know, step A or position A to position B. What these feedback characteristics look like. And Chris, that even means the feedback that are constructive in nature, to say, you know, if you continue to do things this way, then you'll always be in this place. But if you can help tweak it, and now let's give you the learning behind that, and let's give you the coaching behind that. But, you know, the heavy lifting, Chris, as we would say to anybody at EY, the heavy lifting is really on the shoulders of each employee. And so we have committed at the end of the day to all of our employees, including our neurodiverse COE team members, that treating you as a full-fledged employee and giving you access to everything EY has to offer is something that is open to you. But we expect you to do the heavy lifting. And so, again, same conversations that we have with anybody, neurodiverse or neurotypical.
Yeah. Which is really what you would hope to be seeing anyway, isn't it? So,
absolutely.
What I find curious though is you talk about the sharpening the pencil. Do you think there's something in that is of benefit to anyone in a leadership role in EY?
Yeah, I'm laughing a bit because here was this other kind of side phenomenon that we had heard about a bit, you know, almost in the back of a talk track early on, which is, as your leaders and your management team engage with the neurodiverse team members, clearly what they will require is specificity, detail, organization, clarity of instruction, constant feedback. And you think about those 5 characteristics, Chris, I just reeled off. And we realize that everybody, whether you're neurodiverse or neurotypical, you're looking for clarity and detail and organization and consistent feedback. And what
Right.
happened as a result of, it was funny. We think that our neurodiverse team members were actually training us on the management side because they forced us to be very specific. And if we said, we'll be back in 2 minutes, and we really meant we'll be back in 10 minutes, well, there's a difference there. And
Absolutely.
so being much more specific, we found as we started to get feedback from our other neurotypical team members and said, hey, I really like the way you're operating, and this is much clearer now. And so we realized that actually the pencil that had been sharpened was our pencil, the management pencil.
Yeah.
They've actually made us better at how we conduct ourselves from a leadership perspective. And, as I say, I'm really proud of the work we've done at EY, and we wouldn't be a great organization, without great leadership. But I think everybody needs to sharpen their pencil over and over again. And funny enough, this became a great way for us to do it. And again, resonates with our brand, so that when we say build a better working world, and Chris, this has real meaning to us around the neurodiversity centers of excellence, because we can see and feel wholeheartedly that we are changing lives and improving our solutions to our clients at the same time. So, wow, building a better working world really has strong meaning for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you might have mentioned before about some of the sort of client feedback and the perspective that you're getting on that front. Can you tell me about that?
Sure, absolutely. Chris, we've been taken aback by how wonderful this feedback has been from our clients. And we'd committed from day one that we are not doing this as a poster, right? This is not to put a poster up anywhere, or an advert in an airport as you walk by, right? That would be a bit disingenuous, if I'm honest, okay? But what we did decide is, when we are having meaningful conversations with our clients around how is EY being innovative, this has become a key topic of that conversation.
Yeah.
And so, as we have, grabbed the hearts and minds of our own employees and those in the community, our clients very much want the same. These are great organizations looking for themselves to be innovative. And if you think about it, great organizations want to work with other great organizations. So our clients have overwhelmingly want more information from us. In fact, many of them have come to visit us. We continue to host some of the largest organizations in the world to come and talk to our management team. And frankly, we do this, Chris, not only for our clients, but even those that are not our clients. And this is the great part of some of my colleagues at Microsoft and SAP and DXC and JP Morgan Chase and Ford, where we've all committed to open sourcing and sharing this information. So frankly, anybody that calls us, we say, we'd love to talk to you about this. It's something that we are all passionate about. And Chris, if I'm honest, there's some of our team members in the Neurodiversity Center of Excellence who also have something to say. And we feel that giving them the EY platform, sharing the stage with them, frankly, is so meaningful, because they should have an opportunity and an avenue to say what they'd like to. And many of them have actually taken us up on it and joined me in interviews or on stage elsewhere, or presentations that we've done, or client visits and such. So, we really feel at the end of the day, being a authentic, genuine organization means doing these types of things and sharing your knowledge and information. And frankly, the feedback from the business world, media and such, has been phenomenal.
Yeah. And why wouldn't it be? It's great though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it goes back to, and we said there's so much noise,
Yeah.
media, information, news, so much that's out there. Sometimes you need something kind of, as they say, this term, a hot knife through butter. For those
Yeah.
of you can visualize that, but when you have something that's truly meaningful, I think it causes people to stop. But if other organizations and people have asked, how do we do this? And I always step back by saying, you have to be very deliberate, make conscious decisions, and at the end of the day, your level of commitment from your chairman all the way to the receptionist in the office who helps you to do these things and to make sure that our teams are well taken care of. That culture needs to pervade throughout, and so those are some of the key elements, but definitely something that has been a, a a difficult journey, but has been probably the most rewarding journey for us.
Well, I guess as they say, good things don't come easy. So
That's right. Yeah.
I think if it's not feeling hard at times, and you're probably not trying hard enough, and it's maybe you're not trying to do the right thing. If it's too easy.
That's it. And Chris, you made me think of something. One of our team members in a recent feedback session that we had with him said, the last 2 years have been the hardest for me in my career and what I've had to do. But here's the best part, Chris. He said, but I'm happier than I've ever been.
Oh, that's
And
all.
Chris, we thought when we heard this, we said, wow, this is amazing. It almost made, the hairs on my arm stand up and thinking, wow, this is the same feeling that we want everybody to feel. To your point, if it's too easy, then maybe there's not enough, there's not enough worth to it.
Yeah.
But to hear it from these individuals, and we have tremendous respect because we see what happens in the employment walls. We don't often see, Chris, what happens beyond the employment walls. We hear it, and we team with job coaches and such, and we really try to make sure there's a full 360-degree support system around this. But at the end of the day, all of the hard work, all the solutions, the commitment, the sweat equity, as they say, has really come from our team members, and so we're truly proud of their accomplishments.
Oh, that's good, and that sounds like a really amazing piece of feedback, and stuff like that. That's going to make it feel worthwhile.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Feeling comfortable at work, and as one of our other individuals said, when Chris, disclosing whether or not you're on the spectrum, we let them decide if they ever want to disclose. If they don't want to disclose, that's up to them. It's a personal decision. We don't make it for them. But one of the individuals that was reluctant, early on to do so, later came out and said, I'd like to talk about this at a meeting or with others. And we said, what happened? And another great piece of feedback was, he said, I feel safe at EY. I'm not sure I would do this outside of the firm, but disclosing and who I am, and I'm an individual on the autism spectrum. He felt safe doing that. And again, we thought this is really what success looks like, right? When you have somebody who feels so comfortable being themselves.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think when we think of the return on investment calculation at EY, we're just getting so much more out of this, and all the great work that they do. And frankly, having such great loyal employees, so in a way, I keep getting asked, why is this the best kept secret? Which is why I was so excited that you'd asked me on this podcast. But we would love for others to get into the game. And I think there's a statistic that I had heard. I don't know if it's still accurate, something along the lines of 70 million individuals globally on the autism spectrum. 80 to 85% unemployment or underemployment. So we think, Chris, those that are not in the game right now are missing out. And frankly, we know that folks want to do it. And so reaching out to myself or others at EY, at other great organizations, Microsoft and JP Morgan Chase and the others I had mentioned, really, we truly do want to help. And so would encourage anybody listening right now to take us up on that offer.
That's a great segue to one of the last things I like to ask people, and that is, if they do want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, we have a Autism at Work Employer Roundtable. It is on the DisabilityIn website. It's quite long, so I probably won't be able to read it off here. But Chris, I will send it to you if you want to link it then. Yes. To the podcast. But if anybody Googles DisabilityIn Autism at Work Employer Roundtable, they should get directed to a web page that a number of our organizations, SAP, DXE, JP Morgan Chase, Ford, Microsoft, and EY, we've created this roundtable specifically with the intent of putting all of our artifacts on there. Some of our team members have actually put some of their great studies and articles in collaboration with Cornell University. And so there is a tremendous amount of information purely online. But to get in touch with us, if you go to that DisabilityIn website, you will find the employer, Autism at Work Employer Roundtable. And all of our contact information is there. And you can, in fact, submit a request and somebody will get in touch with you.
That sounds great. And that's not just limited to anyone in the States, is it?
Nope. Globally, they can contact us. And in fact, we're already working with folks all over the world on this. And so funny enough, sometimes just having that connection of saying, oh, yeah, in Brazil, if you contact this organization, they will help you to do that. That in itself could save you days and weeks of effort and time just to figure out who to speak to. So some of those very small and quick, easier answers, something we encourage folks to take us up on. And frankly, it'll help accelerate their own programs for, at the end of the day, for any of our organizations to be a part of that success story is meaningful because we think we're fulfilling our mission and really paying it forward on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Hiren, for a great chat. I mean, really buoyed by the stuff that you're doing at EY and the level of collaboration that I see everywhere. So both here in Australia and overseas as well. It's really fantastic, and I think it's probably one of the few areas I think where organisations aren't competing. They are really working together to make it happen. And I guess, as you say, you look at some of the stats. If you're thinking about it just as a war on talent, there's so many people out there to tap into. You're not going to run out. It's just having the right mechanisms to get them in and look after them and make them feel part of the furniture. So.
Absolutely. And Chris, I will just say one last thing on that is we collaborate closely with some great organizations for individuals who are high functioning. Those are in the middle of the spectrum, on the lower end. Those, again, dyslexia or ADHD. We think that there is a space for everybody where, frankly, they will do such a great job that you will wonder, why did you hire and find these folks a long time ago? So, really, there's fantastic talent out there.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, Hiren, and look forward to staying in touch and hearing about how things progress. And if you're ever down this way, you definitely let's catch up and see what EY is doing in Australia.
That sounds great, Chris. Thanks again for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much. What a great guy, huh? Hiren's doing an awesome job at EY over there in the US, and one of the key things that really stood out for me was where he talks about sharpening the pencil. That whole piece around improving internal leadership through hiring a more diverse range of people, it's something that I've heard so many times now, and it really is something I expect to hear so many times more in the future. So think about it from this perspective. Is being more diverse one key way to improve your leadership, improve your people, and develop real talent? Love to hear your thoughts on this. Please share, like, comment on the podcast if this really hit home for you in any way. Thanks very much, guys. Cheers.